Hello, I'm the Programming Coder, and in this Python Beginner Series, Lesson 5, I'll be teaching you about dictionaries, how to make a new file in idle, and the input function. So, let's get started. Now, dictionaries are very similar to lists and tuples in formatting, but they're a lot different in many other ways. So, to type a dictionary, what you first need to do is put in some curly brackets. And then we're going to type in some values in here. You won't understand this right now, but just type what I type and I'll explain it later. And 3. And what this basically is this is what a dictionary is. And these values here are, well, I like to say just values that are connected to one another. So this is the first value, and this is the second value. And this colon separates these two values. So in a dictionary, whenever you type up the first value, it will output the second value. So if it types 1, it will just put the string 1. If I type 2, put the string 2. And 3, put the string 3. But if you type up the string, it won't output this integer 1. It will just give you an error. So remember that the first value will output the second value, but the second value won't output the first value. So now that you understand the basics, let's just assign this to a variable a, like I always do. And then we'll start by learning how to take a value from a dictionary. Now, like I said, you can type the first value and you'll get the second value. So how to do this is you type up a, and then you put 2 square brackets, and then you type in the first value, the name of the first value. And the name of this first value is 1, and then if I click enter, it will output 1. And I can do the same thing for 2 and for 3, and it will all work in the same kind of way. So now that we understand how to take away the second value, or both values using the values to output a value, we should learn how to add and take away values from a dictionary. Now, to add a new value is a bit different because you don't have any .append functions or .insert functions. It's kind of the same way you do take away values, but it's a bit different. So first, just type in this. So what this means is, okay, we're giving a new first value. This value does not exist in the dictionary, so Python is going to interpret it as a new first value. But you also need to assign a second value. And what you need to do to assign a second value is you just write the equal sign, and then you type in what your second value is going to be. So I'll just type up 4 in the string version. Then we click enter, and then I say print a. It's going to print this 1 1 2 2 3 3 4 4. And that's how you make a new value in a dictionary. Now, to take away values, you use the method of del. And del is a bit different from what you would usually think as a .del function, like in list. And how to type it is you would type del, and then you would type the list name, and then you put the square brackets, and then you type whatever the first value is. So I will type up 4, let's just delete 4, and then if you click enter and you say print a, you're going to see now that it's 1 1 2 2 3 3. And I could do the same thing for 3. I could say del a, and then first value 3. And if I say print a, you can see that now it's only 1 and 2. So you can also use the del function for literally deleting a list. So it's like the .clear function, but a bit different, and I'll explain it later. So just type up del, and then type up the dictionary name, and that's all you have to do to clear a list. So click enter, and then if you type up print a, it will say name a is not defined. So the del function, when typing the dictionary name, it just deletes it from Python completely. That's why it's a bit different from clear. Just clear would put the list and it would still exist, but clear would take away all the values from a list. So that's how you would take away all values and add a value to a dictionary. But there's also one more thing I have to teach you, and this is a bit unique with dictionaries, but you can also change the second value. So let's switch things up a bit here, and let's just do strings and then values like this. So 2, 2, and then 3, 3. So now the strings are the first value and the integers are the second value. So to change is a bit like adding, except you add a current value you have in a list. So let's just make 1 turn into 2. So first you would type up the first value, and then you put the equal sign like we did. But now you would just type in a different second value. So let's make this integer 2. And then if I click enter and I say print A, and we should see a value like this, 1, 2, 3. And you can see 1 is equal to 2 now, and I could also do the same for 2. I could say A2 is equal to 3. And then if I print A again, you can see now it's 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. And that's how to change a value in the dictionary. So you learned most of the methods in a dictionary for now, and that's it. We are now going to learn how to make a new file in Python idle. Now, making new files are very important in Python idle because they are used to save your coding projects, and you would not be able to save your coding projects on here anyways. So let's get started. Now first you want to open up idle, which you probably already have open. So the next thing you'll want to do is then click File, and then click New File. And this will open up another file for you, and just leave it as Untitled for now. Let's now type in a simple print function. I'll just write print hello world. And then if we want to run this code, just click this run button up here and click run module. And it's going to ask you to save it and name it. I'll just name it really quickly and shortly, so I'll just name it A because I want to do it fast. And then after this, you should see this console appear and this output hello world appear. So this is how you would make a file in Python and how you would run code in a file on Python idle. So it's now time to start learning about the input function. So first, let's create a new file by going to File and clicking New File. And just leave it as Untitled for now. First, I have to talk about the input function. Now, the input function is our first user interaction function. And when I mean user interaction, I mean the user will interact with the console or will do something to the console, and then the computer is going to output something based on what we typed into the console. So let me give an example. Let's say the computer asks, how old are you? And then the user just types in some age, okay? And then the user is just going to, or the computer is going to print out the age of the user. This is how user interaction would work. So let's make this actually happen by using the input function. Now first, let's just start out with something simple. Just make sure the input function actually works. Not getting to the interaction yet, but just type the input function, then put in these parentheses, and then inside the parentheses you want to ask your question in a string data type form. So we're going to ask, how old are you? Whoops, are you? And then I usually add a colon and a space after the question, just for a bit of neatness in the console. And then after this we can run it. And it's going to ask us to save this program. So I'm just going to name it input and save. Yeah, replace. And then it should run the code. And you can see I can type stuff in here. So I'm just going to write a question mark. And that's it. That's how the program works. So it works for now. That's pretty good. So let's start to get into something a bit more complex. Now, you can assign variables to the input function, and the variables will have the value of what the user typed in. So let's say age equals input, how old are you? And this variable is going to have the value of whatever we typed in, just to make sure. Let's print age, and then we can run it. And if I type in anything, I'll just type in something like 99, and it will print 99. So we know that the variable assignment works. So now that we got both of those down, we can make this a bit better by adding strings together. And if you remember the operations lesson, you can add strings together, and you could add the variable and other strings. So let's say you are, and then I'm going to add a space for neatness. I'm going to say age. So age is already a string data type, so it's fine. And then add a space in the front, years old. And this will print you are, whatever the user typed in, years old. So if I run this, and then I type in some random age, I'll just say, I don't know, 80. It's going to say, you are 80 years old. So this is how user interaction works, but there's still something else I have to teach you, and that is, how do you convert the data type of an input function? Because let's say that we wanted to add two numbers together, because age is a number, right? So let's say age plus 5. If we try to add this and put this into a variable result, and we run the code, it will result in an error, as we'll see in a moment. If I type in something like 10, it's saying result age plus 5 cannot do this because the string plus an integer does not work. Those two data types are completely different, and you cannot add an int and a string together. So we have to convert age into a float or an integer. I would prefer a float, but you can do whatever you want. So if you remember the float function, you can actually surround this around the input function to make it into a float data type. And then if we say result equals age plus 5, it will work. And let's say we wanted to print result, well, we'll have to print it as a string, because result right now is an int or float data type, and you cannot print those out. So if I said print string of result, then it would work out. So let's try this, see if it works. And first I'm going to ask how old are you. I'll just write 10, and then it will write 15. So it did work, no errors, and it printed out the result. So we know it works. So let's make this a bit different. Instead of this question, how old are you, just put in a number like that. And then it's just going to add the number by 5, and then we can print something like this. Print your number added by 5 is, and then just add a string. Make sure to have a space in between this for neatness. And then if we run this, we will see that it will work. So put in a number, let me just put in 4, and then it says your number added by 5 is 9. So now that we know how to use the input function and convert data types of the input function, we are pretty good to go with user interaction, and we'll learn more about this later. It's now time for your assignment in this lesson. For the first question, you have to make a dictionary with 5 food items as the first value and their prices as the second value. Assign this dictionary to a variable. For the next question, you have to change the price of one of the items in the dictionary. For the next question, you have to add one more food item and its price on the list. Well, this should be dictionary, I'm sorry, but I got a bit mixed up there. And then for the last one, you have to make a program that asks the user to type a food item into your dictionary, and then the program prints out its price. This is pretty challenging also. But these are all the assignments for this lesson. It's now time for the answers to the assignment. Now, for the first question, we were asked to make a dictionary, and this dictionary would have 5 food items, and it would also have the prices to those food items. So I will assign this to a variable, I don't know, food items, and then I make this equal to a dictionary, and the first item would be milk. That would cost $1.50, and then the next would be cheese, and that will cost $2. Next will be chips, and that will cost $3. Next will be chicken, and that would cost, I don't know, $4. And then the last would be juice, and this will cost $2 also. And that would be the answer to the first question. Now for the second question, you were asked to change one of the prices of one of the food items in this dictionary. So I'll just change the chips. So what you would do is you would type first the dictionary name. So my dictionary's name is food items. Then you would do the square brackets, and then you would type up the first value. So chips. And then you would make that equal to a new value. So equal sign, then just type the new value you want. And then I could print food items, and it will show this new list with chips being $2.50. Sorry. Now for the third question, you're asked to add another food item to the list. So this one's kind of like changing. Remember, all you have to do is make a new value. So let's just make this equal to ham, and ham will cost $3.50. And then if I print food items, we will get this: milk, cheese, chips, chicken, juice, and ham. So that's the answer to the third question. Now for question number 4, this question is a bit challenging, but I'll go through the steps. So first, you have to make an input function, and you have to make a variable equal to the user input. So I would just say answer equals input, and then write the question you want. So what food item do you want to check the price for? Like this. Pretty long question, but I think it's worth it. And then I'll ask you what food item you want to check the price for, and let's say we want to check it for chicken. Okay, so make sure I spell chicken right, and then what you want to do next is you want to print out the price. So to do that, you would first just type print, and then if you remember how to get the second value, you would type up the dictionary name, so food items, and then you would type in the first value, but we don't have to type in any value, you just have to type in the variable that you assigned the input function to. And then after that you can click enter, and it will tell you the price for the food item. And these are all the answers to the assignment for this lesson.